Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Pretty good. Shabbat Shalom. We want to welcome those of you who don't have shore homes. Just kidding. I know you have one, I know. No, welcome to everyone. Shabbat Shalom. We're really happy to have you here to celebrate Shabbat, as the secular calendar tells us that this is the last Shabbat of summer, but this is really, for the Jewish people, this is a Shabbat in the month of Elul leading up to the start of a new year. So we are glad that you are with us. Tonight we are doing an acoustic Shabbat service. For those of you who are new to Beth Shalom, there's usually a different musical genre every Friday night. The African musical Shabbat, which was at once publicized for last week, is actually, because Moshe couldn't be here at the last minute, is going to be for next Shabbat. So if those of you who are looking forward to the African musical experience, it's going to be a week from tonight. But tonight is a Acoustic Shabbat. It's meant to be a time for you to close your eyes and sing along with these beautiful melodies, and our wonderful members of our community who love playing music, who join with our Chazan. So join with us as we open on page 13 of our Siddur and begin with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yasharet, Malachei Elyon, V'melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, V'melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni V'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, V'melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedechem L'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, V'melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Ahead to page 19 of our Siddur. We're going to be joining with the Chazan in the last three lines of Psalm 99, Romamu, and want to invite you as we sing these words of exaltation to the Holy One of Blessing, to invite you to think about what makes you feel a sense of exaltation, and to offer up that to the Holy One of Blessing as we sing these words. Page 19.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu le'ar kosho
ahead now to page 21 and continue with Lecha Dodi. We're going to do the first, second, and last verse on page 21 before we invite you to rise and greet the Shekhinah and conclude with us the final verse, page 22.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Ishmiyanu el המeyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem u'teferet v'letchila Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat לכוון אחד כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם ניסוך סוף מעשה במחשבה קהילה לך דודי לך דודי לקראת קלה Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Hitorari, hitorari Ki va'orek u'miori שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה. פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמונה עם סגולה בואי כלה בואי כלה לך Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela I invite you to be seated. Traditionally, this is the time in the service when we acknowledge members of our community who have lost loved ones in the week that is ending. We want to extend our condolences to Barbara Lerner on the passing this past week of her husband, Rabbi Dov Lerner, Zichrono Livracha. There is information about Shiva that will be taking place after Shabbat at Barbara's home in Wyncote, and we ask that Rabbi Lerner's memory should be for a blessing. We will say the words together at the bottom of page 22 for those who have experienced death and who have become mourners in the week that is now ending. Please join with me. Hamakom yenachem etchem b'tok shar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. We ask that God should grant comfort to all who mourn of Zion and Jerusalem, and we say amen. We're going to now continue the service on page 23, the Psalm for Shabbat. Join with us as we sing the last 4 lines of the page, and that righteousness is what will allow beauty and truth to grow. Page 23 of your prayer book.
Tzadikat Amar Yifra Keres Ebalvanon Yisga Shetulim Baveit Adonai Bekatzrot Eloheinu Yafrihu Odienun Meseva Deshenim Verananim Yehiyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Tzuri Velo Avlata Bo.
We're going to conclude Kabbalat Shabbat with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 24. If any of you are in the process of mourning or observing a yard site, either here or those of you who might be watching on the Zoom, we invite you to rise and join with me, page 24. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uvizman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela minko birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Damiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. B'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen.
Amen.
We ask God who brings peace and comfort on high to bring peace and comfort to all who are remembering loved ones. So in a moment, I'm going to invite people to introduce themselves. And we often on Friday night services, when we're small in number, we invite people to share a blessing. But I was going to invite people this Friday night to think maybe there's one memory that you have from this summer that is drawing to a close that is going to last in your heart. And if you felt comfortable sharing a memory of your summer as you introduce yourself, we'll invite you to do that. You don't need to share a memory. You can just say who you are, so no pressure. But before that, I wanted to share a very brief, I don't think Friday night is a time for doing serious Torah, but I want to do a very short little vort and say that our parasha this week, Kitavo, actually I think the opening line, our rabbis ask us to perhaps consider what is the nature of gratitude, or when do we experience gratitude most fully. And so the opening line that they're commenting on, V'hayaki tavo el haaretz, asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nachala, and when you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving to you. And here's the interesting part they're commenting on. V'rishta ba, v'yashavta ba, and you take possession of it, and you settle it. In it, you shall bring the first fruits of the soil to offer to the Lord your God. And the question that they ask is, when is it, the question of when you first enter the land, you would not be in a position to bring fruits of the land because you would obviously have not had time to cultivate the land in order to bring them to God. So when you are giving thanks to God, are you meant to give thanks to God only after you've had time to settle the land, grow your crops, and then bring them to God? Or are you meant to offer your thanks to God when you enter the land, at that moment that you enter? And the question that the rabbis suggest is that there are two types of gratitude that we experience. There's the gratitude of the arrival at a moment, and there's gratitude for the work that we have put into doing something that involves the completion of a task. And I think that if all of us think about our lives, we are aware of the fact that simply the act of arrival is a kind of gratitude. The arrival at the start of a new day is an opportunity to say Modeh Ani. The opportunity to say thank you for the gift of the birth of a child is a gratitude of arrival moment. But there are other parts of our lives that we give gratitude for, which is the result of our hard work and our efforts and our sense of feeling blessed from being able to have engaged in the process of bringing forth something that then is a work that we can feel we want to thank God for that ability to do. And that is a kind of gratitude that comes from cultivating crops or cultivating parts of our lives that are a source of blessing to us and to the world. And so when we hear these words chanted tomorrow, V'hayaki tavo el haaretz, we are reminded that we can offer thanks for arrivals, for beginnings, and we can offer thanks for that which we have given our hard work, our energies, and our attention to, that have been able to produce something that we ultimately feel is the product of our hands. May we be blessed to offer thanks for both of these kinds of opportunities in our lives. So with that little vort, I want to now invite us to introduce ourselves. And I usually start off by saying I'm David Glansberg-Cranen. And I have, I think, many, many memories that I am going to bring with me from this summer. But one of them is the memory of being in Vancouver Island on a hike where I was gazing at 1,200-year-old cedar trees that were almost as tall as redwoods, and having this vision of this life that has been on this earth for such a long period of time, literally 50 yards from the ocean. And the juxtaposition of the ocean and these trees was just overwhelming in the sense of God's created world. So I'm holding that image of the beauty of that time from my trip this summer in Canada. Chazan?
I'm Cantor Jacob Akar. I had a very also wonderful summer, a lot of great experiences, and also very productive summer. So for me, it'll be a lot of memories of good music making.
Tess, You're not in your usual place.
I know, I'm throwing you off. Hi, I'm Tess Zakreski, and I don't have anything memorable I want to share.
Great.
Hi, I'm Lisa Stein. July and August, I've always been more of for myself, my crazy, like, Michigan months. So I guess my memory is thanking Tess for putting up with it. Because the summer always just seems I'm a little bit more off. But overall, thanks for her perseverance.
I'm Kathy Banker, and like Rabbi, I too have lots of wonderful memories for this summer.
Thank you.
But I think the one that I'll always hold dear to my heart is my grandchildren running around the yard, picking vegetables out of my husband's garden and playing with the dog.
I'm Carl Hittinger. My wife and I, Shelley, traveled a lot around the world this summer, Paris and Athens and Turkey and other places. The thing that struck me the most was going to Athens. You ever been to Athens? And in the city of Athens, on top of the mountain inside the city is the Acropolis. And below the Acropolis is these ancient lands where, to me, being somewhat of a philosophy major like our rabbi here, Socrates and Aristotle and those guys walked around and talked and thought. And I actually walked on the places that they walked and the places that they went to. And what struck me about it was that these are people who were people of action in the sense of thought and thinking, which has survived centuries, as opposed to people whose actions, whittle out over time, and just shows the power of thought and brilliance, really, the extraordinary nature of these people has lasted a long time. I think we all learned something from that. Sometimes thinking and writing is actually more important than doing, because you're doing something very important for mankind.
Thank you, Carl.
I'm Amy Goldberg Alberts. I'm going to pass on
Okay,
sharing.
nope.
Hi, I'm Ruth Casso, and did have a lot of memories. I was trying to think which one to share, but I guess the one is a vacation that we took with my kids, and they actually carved a whole week out to spend with their mom, and that was really special. And then a hike that we took very close to home in the Poconos, so you don't have to go too far. A hike in the mountains, which was really special time.
Hi, I'm Neriel. I am going to second that memory. That was a good one. We identified some birds and some plants, some mushrooms. It was a nice time.
Hi, I'm Valerie Lieberman. The best part of my summer was we got to babysit for 9 full days with the baby, and we actually spent 12 days with him, and we're going back this weekend to see him again. The best.
I was going to say something. My name's Joe Lieberman. I was going to say something like that, but I had a lot of different things going on this summer, and everything went so good. And I guess I could say I had a great summer, and I want to thank God for that.
Joe, that's beautiful. Gary?
Gary Greenblatt. I think the memory is meals with the whole family, and how after everyone's fed and has a little bit to drink, we start having the silly conversations and stuff.
I'm Melanie Portman. I keep talking about my vacation with my family this summer. So I have wonderful memories of hiking and being with all 3 of my grandchildren. But then last night also, the rabbi was said in the class the other night, he reminded us about the blue moon. So it was really cloudy that night on Wednesday, but last night it was really clear.
Yeah.
And I tried to look for the blue moon, but there were these tall trees behind my house, and I could only see the moon a tiny bit behind the tall trees. But then 2 o'clock this morning, I woke up and my bedroom was flooded with light. This gorgeous moon was high up in the sky and flooding into my bedroom. So even though I don't like that it's becoming fall and the summer is ending, that was like a wonderful introduction to fall. So it was beautiful.
Wait, we have Carol.
Hi, my name's Carol Nemiroff, and probably the vacation highlight was spending a week in the Canadian Rockies. And it's just the awesomeness of creation was amazing. And when the clerk in the hotel found out where we were hiking and gave us the bear spray, that made it really exciting.
Ira?
Hi, Ira Siegel. My memory of this summer was taking a trip for 2.5 weeks to the UK, a week in Glasgow, Scotland, staying with second cousins. Their grandmother and my grandfather were raised in Dublin, and got a chance for several days to meet their children and grandchildren. And then he took me for 2 days up to the Scottish Highlands in Kenmore. There were no appliances there from Sears. And then the next 10 days were spent in London, and the primary purpose of that part of the trip was attending the International Association of Jewish Genealogy Society meeting in London, and it was a great experience. And then certainly touring the other parts of London. And I will mention this same conference is coming to Philadelphia next year, August 18th, at the downtown in Philadelphia. So I heartily recommend this to you all.
So everyone, my name is Yvonne Mosquera. I never saw you before, so welcome. I think you are new. Yes, okay. So I'm Yvonne Mosquera, and basically my summer was very busy. I was traveling 3 weeks to Colombia, my home country, and then I went to Europe, to Portugal and Spain. But I think the highlight was, to be in Colombia with my family in a beautiful occasion. Was my youngest brother's wedding, so that was an opportunity to see the whole family. So I think that's, for me, was the best, because it's not like I see my family every day. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you all. And common themes for those, I think, are appreciating relationships, time with family, friends, beauty of the created world, and time to be away in new places to give new perspective. So may all of us continue to hold those memories and feel that blessing of the time that we've had this summer. Actually, I don't need this. I have this. So we're going to invite everyone to continue with us as we prepare now for the evening service. Mariv begins on page 28. If you're able to rise, we invite you to do so as we continue with Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amvorach.
Baruch Adonai Mavorach le'olam vahed.
Baruch Adonai Mavorach le'olam vahed.
We invite you to be seated, and we continue privately, page 28. Baruch Adonai.
ומעביר יום ולילה, ומבדיל בין יום ולילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אלוקי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב והרביב.
Amen. Join with us, page 29, as we sing Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אתה. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו למדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, להשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. מאהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך שמו.
אוהב עמו ישראל.
אמן.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כעולם הבא. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, והיה אם שמעו תשמעו.
Continuing privately through the middle of page 31.
ישמרו לכם פן לבבכם וסרתם דלתכם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם.
Continuing page 32. אמת ולא כל זאת וקיים.
כי הוא אלוהינו. פניך מכה בבטו, ים סוף. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה נתנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה, זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. ותגום יחזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Join with us as we sing Hashkivenu, page 33 of your prayer book.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. 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 ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. 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 ברוך אתה אדוני הברך מלך ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Turn ahead with us to page 34 as we thank God for the gift of Shabbat and the sign of the covenant between the Jewish people and God. Page 34.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
If you're able to rise, we invite you to do so. We continue now with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 34, and then please take some time in your own private prayer and reflection, the Amidah begins, page 35.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ביעלמה דברה קירותי ומלך מלכותי. בחייך וביומך ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן ביעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Those of you who are still davening, please continue. Those of you who have concluded should feel free to be seated. We'll conclude the Amidah with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bimroma Uyaseh Shalom aleinu Ve'al kol Yisrael Ve'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu
Once again, if you're able to rise, we continue with Kiddush. It's found on page 49.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafel.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabat kodesho b'yahava uvra'atzon hinkilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabat kodshecha v'yahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. If you're able to remain standing, please do so as we turn ahead to page 51 and continue Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adonai kol לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגר עלינו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. יום שבעת אין עוד לקל נקב להלהן לירד מהתפארת ושכל לפניך נבהנו יחרוב ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We're turning ahead now to page 80 as we are in the season of turning, this season of tshuva. We'll continue now with Achat Sha'alti, 7 lines from the top of page 80, as we sing these beautiful lines from Psalm 27. One thing I ask of you, O God, to have your presence as part of my life and consciousness. Page 80.
Shafi meit Adonai otavakesh Achat shafi meit Adonai otavakesh Shifti beveit Adonai kol yamei chayai lakazot benoam Adonai Adonai, ולבקר בחיקתו, לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בחיקתו.
I want those of you who are in the process of mourning or observing a yard site to please rise as we turn back now to page 52 and continue with Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalma divrach Hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael b'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekudasha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru.
Amen.
Again, we ask God who brings peace and comfort on high to bring peace and comfort to all who are remembering their loved ones. So I want to, again, as we often do, we are so blessed to have these extraordinary members of our community who share their musical gifts with us and who help make this service so beautiful. So I want to thank Tess, who's been sitting in her non-usual place, and Lisa, and Kathy, and Carl, and of course the Chazan, for bringing the beauty of this music to us. For those of you who are relatively new, and there are a couple of folks who are relatively new to Beth Shalom, we do have a very, very diverse congregation, and so Friday night services with music, and often, especially in Kabbalat Shabbat, focusing on just a couple of verses from some of the Psalms is meant to be kind of allowing us to focus on small amounts of liturgy so we can not be, in a sense, sometimes overwhelmed with the words that are so plentiful in our tradition. So this is a time to focus on certain key phrases of Psalms and go deep and hear the beauty of the music. Tomorrow morning, if you were to come back, you would find a service that would be a little bit more traditional, no musical instruments, most of the traditional language, and a full kind of davening. And that reflects that we have people who find different ways of connecting through prayer to be ways that speak to them. So that's part of what we try to provide here at Beth Shalom. So again, thank you all for the music tonight. Tomorrow we look forward to seeing many of you at Shabbat morning services, and we are going to come to the end of our series of incredible summer teachers. We've had 3 months essentially of members of the community teaching Torah. Our final teacher will be Cheryl Megan, who will be speaking about the nature of gratitude that we learned from this parasha, and what might it mean for us to bring our first fruits in a non-agricultural context for many of us. Want to let people know about a couple upcoming events. Morning Minyan on Monday, which is Labor Day, is going to be by Zoom only at 9 a.m., not the usual 7:30 time slot. Mindful meditation, both Monday night and Wednesday morning with Carol, and also Carol's doing the class on Wednesday, the Shofar Project class. I think that will be the last of the 4. That's at 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Sisterhood and Men's Club have their opening programs next Wednesday. Sisterhood's program is at 10 a.m. Jerry Richmond will be speaking, and Don Agris is going to be speaking on the Men's Club program, the opening dinner at 6 o'clock that evening. The choir will be meeting at 8 p.m. on Thursday. And we're going to have the inaugural meeting of our new garden group at Beth Shalom. Let's Talk Garden. And I think
We're going to be talking at the opening meeting about putting your garden to sleep, timing your planting season, autumn gardens, other kinds of, so for those of you with green thumbs, and for those of you who want to learn how to garden, Sunday, September 10th at 10 a.m. We also want to let you know that next Saturday night is our Slichot program. We hope that you'll join us as we kind of come to that service, which is saying, yeah, we've been doing Elul, we've been hearing the shofar, but now it's getting serious, ladies and gentlemen. So, and we're going to be doing a program with our friends from Kol Ami at 7:30 to have Havdalah and dessert together, and then 8 o'clock congregations are going to their own services, and we're going to incorporate some little exercises during our Slichot service to talk about regret and how we might use regret, not something as a way of beating ourselves up, but actually something as a source of growth in our lives, our religious and spiritual lives. So join us a week from tomorrow night at Slichot, starting at 7:30. And finally, one last announcement. We have another new program. We've got our first Romeo meeting, our first meeting of our retired old men eating out. And that's going to be, I actually thought it was really old men eating out, but anyhow, it's retired old men eating out. First meeting for breakfast on Monday, September 11th, and Elliot Miller is your contact for time and location. Carol, yes?
Another opportunity for preparation for Yom Kippur on 23rd of September at 2 o'clock. I'll be offering a labyrinth walk. And so if anyone's interested, let me or Stacy know.
Right, and we have to get that on the announcement list, right? So join Carol for a labyrinth walk on Shabbat Shuvah as well. All right, I think that's it. And we are ready. And by the way, we have a little nosh for you. We're going to do motzi in the Finkel Sterling Lounge, just to our left at the top of the steps, and invite people to have a brief nosh before we head out for our Shabbat evening. So join with us, page 54, as we conclude with Adon Olam.
And one last thing, next week is African Shabbat, next Friday.
All right.
Yeah.
A second time.
The second time.
Or the third.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra li'et nasa v'cherso kol Azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kiglot hakol levado imlo nora vehu haya vehu hove vehu yeh b'tifara vehu echad v'yen sheni lehamashilo leyachira b'li reshit b'li tachlit ve'lo ha'oz ve'ha'misra ve'hu eli ve'chai go'ali ve'tzur chevli v'yetzara ve'hu nisi v'vonos li menat kosi b'yom ekra b'yado avkidruchi v'eti shan ve'yahira v'yimruchi gaviyati Adonai li Elohim.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom to everyone.
Shabbat shalom.